What's up guys, People here, and today's video is going to be about this. The new, slightly recently released, as in 4th of July of 2018, released Maverik Lacrosse Havok head. This head kind of delves away from what a lot of companies are doing right now, which is doing the kind of midi attack offensive themed head. Maverik does a versatile few different heads on the market where they do defensive, offensive, and now transitionary head. This is supposed to be for long poles / LSMs. If you want to do midi attack with it, you could, but they've really kind of catered it towards the long pole style player. It's not necessarily stiff enough for strictly D pole, like close defense, but it is fairly stiff. And yeah, it's a pretty decent head so far from what I have been able to deduce, and strung it up a couple different ways, and I decided to go with the one that's in it right now, just because it seemed to work best for me and kind of gave that solid mid pocket. Kind of just sits right in the middle, and it shifts up so that when you have positive control over the ball sooner when you try and scoop it. So it's nice and confirmed control. But so it kind of takes the same sort of technology from the Kinetic, which was the offensive head before this one. You still have your X-Rail style system. I believe that's what it's called. If it has, yes, the X-Rail system. So it's kind of different as far as how the struts work, because there's this kind of twist going on where one direction it's jutting out and then on the other side it's switched. This is supposed to help take any pressure from one part of the sidewall and transfer it to the other, so relieve stress, as it were. There's a decent amount of cutout going on here. There are multiple struts on the side to help with the stiffness, but there's a decent amount of cutout on the head to where it's fairly light. I don't have the actual weight of it, but it is definitely a little lighter than the Tank, which is Maverik's current defensive only head that they have on the market. Decent amount of sidewall holes. They are not round like some of the older Maverik heads. They are angled, and I can say that if you do your knots properly, or well anyway, so I guess some people will have different opinions on what proper is, but anyway, if you do your knots well enough and position, tightness, everything like that, they'll lock in pretty well into the angles that are inside of the sidewall holes. When you get closer to the top, the sidewall holes start to get a little bit bigger to accommodate shooters, as well as double wraps and so on and so forth. If you were to put a traditional into this, you could fit multiple strings through, depending on how you do your traditionals. Kind of moving into the top, your actual top string holes, as well as the scoop. Scoop is pretty well rounded, which definitely, if you compare it to a lot of offensive heads and whatnot, a lot of heads are doing really well with a more rounded scoop, to where they can go on dirt, gravel, concrete, and turf. There's a lot of heads out there that have a difficult time on turf, switching from turf to grass and vice versa, depending on how the head is constructed. But if you have a rounded scoop, more often than not, it's gonna do well on both grass and turf, which is what pretty much everybody plays on. There's a little bit of a lip, as here you can see with the shadow here. There's a little bit of a lip to help protect your top string when you are going in at the angle to scoop. So kudos for that. That's a good idea. It's a nice way to execute protecting your top string. The top string holes, as you can see, this is a thicker top string nylon that I'm using for the top string. If you were to use regular sidewall string, you'd be able to fit triangle top string or 4 crotch. If whatever style you're doing, you could probably fit 3 to 4 pieces of string without it looking too jumbled up and so on. The plastic is pretty durable. I haven't had any of it like bunch up or kind of peel away from making the strings really tight and whatnot. Your bottom string and throat area, like I said earlier, is pretty cut out, but it still has enough there that it's durable. They have this new kind of bottom string hole design that I haven't really seen before on their heads, where there's 4 regular ones which can fit leathers pretty easily through, and then there's a 5th right in the middle, which is kind of weird, but you can use it to string if you really want to. I wouldn't really recommend it for a piece of leather. Definitely for more of a mesh pocket, and as well as it cuts away plastic for a lighter head. Not by much, but it helps. And then you have 2 screw holes, which is, I have to say, paramount for almost any head, but it's really a great concept for a defensive oriented head. If you got one screw hole, what happens if that one gets rattly and whatnot? You gotta have confidence when the ball's 6 feet away from you if you have your stick fully extended. All in all, I really like this head. I have had a few people tell me that have actually really beat it up as far as defender's concept and play style, that it hourglass is just a little bit, but not to the point like the old hammers or a lot of the older defensive heads. But again, this isn't for you can use it for close defense, but it's more catered towards the transition player, like defensive middies or long pull middies. It's more for that sort of player, since it has the sidewall configuration. They have all their different specifications, but it has the sidewall offset a little higher. It has its normal offset, but the actual angle of where it curves at is higher in the head than, say, in the optics or your centric. It's a little bit higher, so it's more, you can string it to a low pocket if that's what works for you as a D-pole, but it's catered more to the mid-high pocket, in my opinion, as well as what it says in the designs. But all in all, great head. Looks like it has some decent like flat surfaces if you want to do some dies. Nice open scoop area, very nice and flat lines all across the scoop area if you want to get it customized and dyed. There's some decent flat areas to where you can do words and numbers and stuff like that. So all in all, great head. Maverik knocked it out of the park with a new head on the market earlier this year, and yeah, I would recommend it if you want to try a new head for your D-pole or defensive midi. I think this head would be a really good take if you're a little bit more of a midi that likes kind of a higher pocket, a little bit more rigid of a head. This is a good concept for you to either look at or maybe even go get. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got a little bit of info. I definitely recommend this head, just like I pretty much do all Maverik heads nowadays. Maverik's definitely doing well. And yes, this can take traditional. No, I don't recommend it for face-offs. There are face-off specific heads now, so stop trying to use heads that aren't really for face-offs anymore. Like, seriously, it's not. This one is not for that at all. Period. Nada. Nope. But so, thanks for watching, guys. I will check you later. I believe the next video will be actually another Maverik head. Uh-oh. I don't know why I hinted at it. We all know it's already out. I'll catch you guys later.